Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Those who want bail reform in the state argue that if you're rich and you're charged with a crime, you get to go home, while others have to rot in jail. Our Sherry Karabin looks at both sides of the issue.
Thank you, Larry. Once the subject of science fiction novels and movies, artificial intelligence is now being used to do everything from tracking data to predicting outcomes. It's even affecting New Jersey's court system. In the Garden State, an algorithm is now playing a role in what happens to those who are arrested and awaiting trial.
Under the old system, you were arbitrarily talking about money, but not directly talking about whether the person posed a risk.
New Jersey Court's acting administrative director, Judge Glenn Grant, is talking about a series of reforms to the state's criminal justice system, which took effect on January 1st, 2017. The changes eliminate bail in most criminal cases, instead relying heavily on a computer-generated public safety assessment to determine if a defendant should be released or detained prior to trial.
And there were two things that were wrong with the bail system. First one was you could have people who were low risk, who were relatively poor and didn't have the money to get out of jail. They could spend weeks, months, sometimes even longer in jail. On the other hand, you could have people who had access to money who yet posed a very significant risk to harming the community and victims, yet they have access to money and they're released.
Now, when a defendant is taken into custody, employees working in the newly created pretrial services unit use information in the court's database to generate a public safety assessment. The PSA, which relies on an artificially intelligent algorithm, contains two scores, one that predicts the defendant's likelihood to appear at trial. The other is based on the person's record, with the goal of gauging whether the defendant will commit a new crime if released. In addition, a red flag pops up if the current charge reflects new violent criminal activity. But those aren't the only considerations.
Statute says that if you are charged with a crime of murder or a crime where there is a likelihood that you, if convicted, you would get a sentence of life in jail, there is going to be a recommendation of no release.
The judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney all receive a copy of the PSA before the defendant appears in court. If the prosecutor makes a motion to detain, a separate hearing will be held. If that doesn't happen, the information will be used to determine whether to grant pretrial release or institute some form of outside monitoring, including, in rare instances, bail. In addition, there are now new rules designed to limit the time a defendant will spend in jail to a maximum of 2 years. From detention to trial. It's a move this criminal defense attorney says is a welcome change.
The state of New Jersey truly never had a speedy trial act, as does the federal court. The federal court actually has a specific speedy trial act. So in New Jersey, I had cases literally where someone would get indicted, and 2.5 years later, because the person was asserting their innocence and we were waiting for a trial date.
Not everyone is happy about the reforms. Just ask your local bail bondsman.
It's taken away 90 to 95% of my business.
Shaw says the bulk of his work now comes from municipal court, where bail is still widely used. Still, he says he's laid off all but one part-time worker, and he's luckier than many bail bondsmen who've gone out of business altogether. He says the new system is a recipe for problems, especially when it comes to those who are released on their own recognizance.
Right now, there's nothing to make you show up in court right now. It's just a pinky promise, a pinky swear that I solemnly swear I'll show up in court. And when they don't, nothing happens to you. Back then, we'd be coming for you. If you didn't go to court, we'd be coming for you. We'd find you, we'd put you back in. Otherwise, we'd be out that money.
While it's still too soon to evaluate the overall success of criminal justice reform, court officials and defense attorneys like Fano say they believe it provides a fair shake to those from all backgrounds. In Trenton, this is Sherry Karabin reporting for Jersey Matters.